Day 54, and the most important thing that happened today is that this failed on a party line vote. No amendments, no 3.5, no 1%. The pay plan failed. So I hope you guys are all someplace in a meeting right now discussing what you're going to do about that. In Business and Labor this morning, we heard a couple of kind of non-controversial bills, and good news, the Sacramental wine bill passed with only one no vote. Guess who it was? I did a bunch of emails and went around asking the folks who voted yes on the speed limit bill yesterday to hold their yes today, because I know that Representative Lenz, the fireman who doesn't want to keep firemen safe, was going around asking all of them to change their votes to no. The most interesting, or the biggest bill that we heard today on the House floor was House Bill 3. And so on these fiscal notes, they always have a really good summary of what the bill actually does. And House Bill 3 is offered each legislative session as a part of the executive budget, and it covers unanticipated costs that are required to complete the fiscal year. This one's to complete fiscal year 2013. And so as it was presented, it just looks like this, a list of all the basically unpaid bills that are not included in the House Bill 2, that they're like, oh, you know, it's that one bill that you forgot that you owed at the end of the month. They're like, oh yeah, we owe this also. And so that's a summary kind of House Bill 3. There were some unexpected amendments. So this has already gone through committee and been talked about at length. And today it was amended to the tune of $2.6 roughly million by Republicans. And their arguments were that there were lawsuits that resulted in this extra money, and so now we need to pay these bills. And, you know, there's so many levels. There's some level of truth to that, but there's also some level of irony to it, since we've discussed so much about the philosophical hatred of lawsuits and keeping them from coming. And now we're going to set this precedent that if someone sues and wins, the state picks up the tab for it. The other bills were pretty that was basically non-controversial, but the amendments were not. The bill was non-controversial, as were most of the other bills today. They covered veterans' license plates, repealing some unused programs, illegal influence of voters, notarization of documents, eliminating unused counsels, the coverage of routine care for cancer patients who participate in clinical trials. We talked about that one the other day. There were two people who voted no against that, Representative Kearns and Representative O'Neill. Don't want insurance companies to cover routine care for cancer patients. An interim study and recognizing military service. On third reading today, my speed limit bill passed with even more votes than yesterday. I shouldn't say mine, I should say our speed limit bill. I've been working with a Republican Representative Warburton. It's actually her bill that she wrote, and then we have worked on together. So it just happens to have my name on it through just circumstances. We got to do 3 blast motions today on the House floor, and I really, really like these blast motions because they very clearly show the differences between the two parties. And so the reason all those non-controversial bills were on the floor today is because these blast motions are not a surprise. Leadership of our party tells the leadership of the other party, these are the bills we're going to blast, and they kind of know how much time that's going to take. And then they also, when you see people stand up in opposition, they know ahead of time, they plan for that, they write their remarks. So this is not just off-the-cuff stuff that you're seeing if you're watching the footage on TV. The first one was House Bill 527 to put cyberbullying into Montana law. And so often we hear Republicans say, there are 24 states that do this. There are 26 states that do this. Why doesn't Montana do this? But when it comes to protecting kids, there are 49 other states that have cyberbullying on their laws, and Montana is not going to join them. Montana stands alone as the only state that doesn't want to protect its kids from cyberbullying. And the person who spoke against it said that computers and technology were the downfall of our culture, and it's the parents' responsibility to turn off the computer if you don't like this. House Bill 99 was a Feed Hungry Kids bill that we had in Human Services that I've been railing on since the beginning of these videos. And So we've talked about this a lot, and the argument against it was that it's unconstitutional because it gives money to private enterprise, and that this is also the job of church and charity, and the government shouldn't be doing it. I just want to emphasize that this came out of an interim committee with bipartisan support, and a lot of the ideas that were in this bill were Republican senators' ideas. It was the closest. It had a 49 to 48 vote, but it needed 60 to be brought onto the House floor for discussion. So that is dead. So no protecting kids from bullying, and no feeding kids, even with money that's already here. It doesn't cost any extra money. The money already exists and is not being spent, but we're not going to spend that money on feeding kids. We are going to let it sit in the bank. And then House Bill 236 is the one that you saw on CNN. It removes the loophole for boarding schools that have a religious exemption, basically, from being licensed. So we license bowling alleys, and we license boxing, and we license cosmetology, but we are not licensing boarding homes or private adolescent homes if they are religious in nature. And so the argument against that was that regulations and laws don't keep people from breaking the law, and that the abuse that's happening at the homes will still happen even if we license the homes. That failed 45 to 52, and so we're not going to protect kids from cyberbullying, and we're not going to feed them with the money we already have that we will not spend, and we are not going to protect the kids who have no parents and absolutely no one there watching them when they're at this remote home, and people are choking them or raping them. We are not only are we not going to protect them, we're not even going to talk about hearing the bill that protects them. After those 3 blast motions, the House was so quiet, and this just kind of tension fell on the floor. That can't be very fun for the other party to just have taken pretty much a unified stance against these 3 bills that protect kids. I don't know why they would do it beyond politics. I think everyone will tell you, if you call them, they'll say, I really want to protect kids and I really want to feed kids. So it's frustrating. Hope you guys are fired up to campaign, because we have complete control over who represents us. And we might have made some mistakes this session, but I hope we don't make the same mistakes next session. And this is a renewable cycle that we can control the next time we get to vote. And so I hope everyone is thinking about what they can do, how much time they can spend to make this change. Keep sending the messages, keep making the phone calls, keep showing up at the Capitol, keep watching these videos, share the videos so other people see them. Have a great night.